I've developed a training system that permanently increases your discipline and self-control, and it only takes a few minutes a day. Welcome. If you're new here, I'm a practicing doctor who graduated from Yale for medical school and Harvard for undergrad. During the day, I run an ER as a medical director, but at night, I make videos helping people become the best versions of themselves. I give you my credentials, not to brag, but to give you an example of what can be accomplished with this simple system. I'm not special. My dad was a poor farmer in China who came to the US in the 1980s with just $50 in his pocket. I made a video about it here if you haven't seen it yet. My success all happened because of one thing. Discipline. But there's a problem, right? Isn't discipline or willpower something you're born with? Surprisingly, no. Fundamentally, it's just a skill anyone can get better at. Just like stamina, strength, or intelligence, growing discipline requires consistent training and practice. But therein lies the problem, a catch-22. How can you develop more discipline when you don't have any to begin with? Don't worry, I'll give you 2 solutions soon. Fact number 1. Many who have discipline stumble upon it accidentally. David Goggins, a Navy SEAL ultra-marathoner described as the toughest man on earth. Johnny Kim, every Asian kid's worst nightmare. Navy SEAL sniper, Harvard doctor, NASA astronaut. What do both of these people have in common? Traumatic childhoods. Goggins describes his home experience as hell on earth, while Johnny had to literally plead with his dad not to murder him and his family at gunpoint. With that as your backstory, the pain of discipline, the discomfort of dedicating time to change your life becomes absurd in comparison, because if your current reality is literally hell on earth, you do whatever it takes to escape. But of course, this isn't to say trauma is necessary nor fundamental to discipline, but it does make it that much easier. Fact number 2. Your brain is a Fortune 500 company. Like any modern corporation, there's a board of directors at the top. They live in the prefrontal cortex, the executive centers of your brain. Every second, memos are being dumped on their desk by lesser brain departments. One department wants to eat that donut you just found on the floor. Brad from your brain HR department wants to see what that hot Instagram girl is up to. Billy from across the hall is telling you to clench your cheeks ASAP because that bean burrito is starting to make its way down. Without discipline, your board of directors are just a bunch of feeble-minded old farts too timid to even take a shit. That's why the rest of the brain walks all over them. That's what happens when you know you need to do something but you simply cannot. Rest of your brain isn't on board. They don't respect you. Their needs come first. Hungry, horny, bored, so many things to take care of, and all this noise. How does your board of directors stay disciplined and tend to the tiny little yellow post-it note sitting on their desk labeled life goals? Easiest answer? Purpose. But if you don't have purpose, that's okay. I have a second solution for you. This 5-minute discipline training system was built specifically for you. A system built from countless hours of research and personal experience. So, how does this discipline training system work? It's just 3 simple exercises. First exercise starts with understanding fact number 3. The most basic building block of discipline is self-respect. Fundamentally, discipline is doing what you say you'll do. It's about honoring your word. Every day, make yourself a promise. It can be anything. Drinking a glass of water, doing 10 jumping jacks, or even simpler, a mental acknowledgement of the promise itself. It's kind of weird, right? I promise to think about this promise. There's literally nothing more simple than that. As stupid as this sounds, each time you successfully keep your promise to think about the promise, your prefrontal cortex gets stronger. You begin to recognize that, hey, maybe I can do this. Pick a time, set an alarm, and build it into your existing day. I made a whole video on the different tactics you can do to make this happen right here. For example, creating a toll you must pay before you brush your teeth is a perfect tactic to never forget to do this. Action, no matter how small, is what influences thought, and with enough actions, you change your reflexive thought patterns completely. This is how you go from feeling hopeless to thinking, hey, maybe I can do this. That confidence is key because it sets you up for exercise 2. beefing up your prefrontal cortex every single day. This exercise is what I call powering through. Exercise 1 was about picking something incredibly easy, right? Exercise 2, on the other hand, is picking something you specifically hate doing, something you have to will yourself to do. The forcing of the self to do the thing is the training itself. You know you're doing it right when you experience mental pain, the feeling of not wanting to do something and then overcoming it and doing it anyway. Not wanting to do something naturally happens throughout the day. Train yourself to be aware of these moments and just pick one of them. I pick the first moment it happens and I get it out of the way. The moment you don't feel like it is the moment you say, I have to now do it. And then you do it. Just once a day is more than enough. Overcoming just a single not wanting feeling and doing it anyway is a huge success, a huge workout for your prefrontal cortex. Most people never intentionally power through like this, and that's why they stay weak. Because realize the significance here. These moments are all reps in the mental gym of life. Just like the physical gym, you don't want to overdo it, but consistently skip gym day, you'll be weak as crap. Doesn't matter if we're talking muscle or brain. It's just a fact of life. You either choose the pain you want to face today or let the pain of tomorrow choose for you. But what about habits? 1% better a day, right? It doesn't have to be painful if you start small and to minimize friction. That's what the conventional productivity wisdom tells you. But guess what? Habits are actually counterproductive here. Because what are habits but automated reflexes and behaviors meant to make things easier for you to do the same thing over time? For example, before I go to bed, I habitually brush my teeth. The associations and triggers of my bedtime routine make it happen. I exert no willpower nor discipline at all in the exercise. It's automatic. I can brush my teeth once a day for the rest of my life and never increase my raw discipline. That's because my prefrontal cortex does no heavy lifting here at all. See the problem? If you want to specifically train raw discipline, i.e. your prefrontal cortex, you need to use your prefrontal cortex in the execution of the task, specifically pushing forward when there's no crutch of a habit to make it happen. In other words, you have to intentionally choose pain and complete a task in the face of friction itself. Third exercise now. Urge surfing. The first two exercises may give you an insanely strong board of directors, but your power is useless if you can't manage the millions of distractions coming your way. This is the memo problem I alluded to earlier. How do you focus on the little yellow sticky note on your desk labeled life goals if it's under a stack of other memos your other brain departments want you to review urgently? That hot Instagram girl isn't going to wait forever, you know. Urge surfing is an idea first introduced by Alan Marlatt. When an urge comes, a figurative memo is slapped across your desk. Your only job, stop the reflex. Don't act upon it. It's like a random itch on your body just appeared out of nowhere. Instinctively, you want to scratch, but pause the reflex and wait. Non-judgmentally, patiently, simply observe it. Notice how it feels physically. Your goal isn't to fight it, but to simply notice it. And when you do, just breathe. Breathe through the craving. Whereas exercise 2 was training your prefrontal cortex to push forward and execute, urge surfing is all about training your prefrontal cortex to exercise restraint and chill. This is the concept of an anti-task. Your brain gives you a task, but you train yourself to not do the task. In the beginning, you may only be able to urge surf for about 10 seconds before giving in. That's okay. Goal is to urge surf at least once a day. And each time you do it, you simply increase the duration by 1 second. At some point in time, you'll urge surf for so long, you'll notice something curious happen. The urge actually weakens. They say usually within 20 to 30 minutes, but sometimes it happens much quicker. And when it does, because you've been beefing up your prefrontal cortex this entire time with exercise 2, you're able to effortlessly take back control and execute on what you actually wanted to do, making your board of directors even stronger in the process. This 1-2 punch combo is how you build unstoppable discipline, how you learn to build seemingly infinite self-control. This is literally what people use to quit cigarettes, one of the most addicting substances out there. We are harnessing the same power to change your life for good too. With all this raw discipline, you're finally ready to implement the next step, the scientifically proven formula that pretty much guarantees success. Watch it next. Until next time, friends. Smile you later.